I used to suck at coding. Learning to code is like completing a 400-meter hurdle race. There are tons of obstacles in your path as you run through the racetrack learning how to code. But as long as you get past them, you'll complete the race. So in this video, we are going to cover the hurdles that will come along in your coding journey, how to get past them, and how to ultimately master coding. And yes, I will share the AI cheat codes that you can use now to learn faster, and these didn't exist back when I was learning. The very first part of your coding journey, and arguably the most important, is learning how to solve problems. You see, to actually learn how to code, you need to be able to solve problems. To do this, you need to be able to rewire your brain into being excited to solve problems. Like when you see a coding problem, you should be like, wow, I can't wait to solve this, even if you secretly just want to jump off a roof. Because at the end of the day, coding is just solving a bunch of mini problems in succession. And to be honest, when I used to run into some coding errors, right away, I would ask my friends, my mentor, my teachers, basically anyone and everyone for help. And if I didn't get help, it was crashing out time. And this is a horrible approach. Here's what made solving problems easier. When I would run into a problem, before I immediately went to crashing out and asking for help, I'd ask myself, let me look at this problem for 5 more minutes and let's see what happens. And that's what I do. So then I go through 5 dedicated, uninterrupted minutes trying to debug the problem without any distractions, and 9 out of 10 times I'd find the coding issue myself. And yes, a lot of times it was a missed semicolon. We've all been there. Once you have adopted your problem-solving mind, your next step is to realize you don't have to be a jack of all trades to be a good software developer. You see resumes of developers that have 20 plus coding languages listed like Java, C#, Python, OCaml, hieroglyphics. Like stop, pause. In programming, the 2 main languages to learn are Python and JavaScript. Hands down, argue against a wall. If you can excel in just these 2 languages, you'll be able to accomplish a lot in your coding career, and you'll be able to learn other languages as well. You see, if you become an actively employed software engineer, there's a high chance you'll be thrown into a project where you have to code in some odd language. If you already mastered 2 languages, this third one will come easy. And that's how programming works at a core. Most languages are just regurgitations of each other. Personally, my first programming language was JavaScript, and to this day, I use it actively. In fact, many AI tools, which we'll touch on later, use JavaScript to build out apps, features, and more. As you learn your coding language, you need to make sure you are focusing on the fundamentals. Fundamentals in programming are universal no matter the language. You need to know when to use a for loop versus a while loop. You need to understand more complex operations such as filtering, mapping, and joining. At the same time, you need to know what a string, integer, float, double is, and you need to know when to use which one. If you don't know when to use a list versus an array, you're going to make building projects that much harder for yourself. See, if I were to give you a coding project and your fundamentals are weak, you can spend 10 plus extra hours working on it versus if you had a strong fundamental base already. And this is why you need to focus on your fundamentals. Deliberate learning. Now you're looking at me like, where on earth do you learn all of this? Do you learn from the Indian guy on YouTube who every college CS major's second dad? Or do you pay $20,000 for a bootcamp? Guys, just watch YouTube videos. Please, it's 100% free to learn how to code. Do not spend money to learn how to do beginner level coding. I didn't, and you shouldn't either. Only spend money on learning how to build apps, AI agents, or more complex softwares that can earn you money back. You want to treat these bootcamps and mentorships as investments. Now, as you build your fundamentals, you'll be able to apply your skills to real coding projects. Most YouTube tutorials have viewers build a JavaScript snake game or a Python Pac-Man game that is geared to help you as a developer create a usable product using basic skills. Do these projects that will reinforce your learning. And once you knock out these novice projects, start building more complex projects. Try creating your first NBA finals winner predictor or weather predictor app. Start using your coding skills to build programs that take in large amounts of data, understand it, and produce some sort of visual output for users. This is what is known as app development. Coolest part is as you start building more and more projects, your confidence level will be sky high and your speed of development will get increasingly fast. And later when we talk about AI tools to help you code, you will see how you can build entire apps within hours. Now I'm going to tell you how I learned more in 3 weeks and 3 months of college. You remember how I mentioned building apps twice now? Why do you think that's the case? See, when I was a freshman in college and early on in my coding journey, I felt like I was a poser. I was at a top computer science university, but I felt that my peers were so much better than me at coding. Why? It was because I had not created anything cool. I did not create anything without watching a tutorial or being handheld through a lot of the process. Then I made the decision to build my first web automation tool. This was a tool that bought PS5s from Walmart when they were first released, but most people classify as a bot. This project that had real customers using it required me to be at the top of my game because I had real paying users who needed the product to be A1 perfect. This led me to learning more in 3 weeks, where I built the first version of my product in my entire first semester of college. This is the beauty of building customer-facing products. You learn skills that schools won't teach you. You have to read documentation, learn how to debug at a faster rate, and are able to build these soft skills that you won't learn from coding classes. For example, how to take in customer feedback. On the job, as a software engineer myself, I have to constantly read documentation. There are no video tutorials for me to watch. Building these soft skills like reading documentation will make you a better developer and help you on the job as well. And with this tech job market, you need to build all the soft skills you can. The number one skill is obviously your coding ability, and this is where we will talk about how to challenge your coding so you can become a better programmer. See, by this point in the video, if you followed everything we talked about, you know when to use a stack versus a queue, right? All that's left now is to increase your progression at a 10x rate, and here's how. The first thing I recommend is coding challenges. There are multiple websites that have coding challenges and coding mini games that you can do to test your coding skills. You can see how good you are when it comes to building out algorithms. The next thing you can do is join hackathons. Hackathons are events where you will become a team member in, let's say, a team of 5 or 6 other developers, and you guys will build some sort of project under some sort of project specifications and present it to an entire audience, demo it, and you can even win money through these little competitions. And the people you will meet, the things you will learn are invaluable. I personally wish I went to more hackathons. I think I've only been to 2, but I've met some amazing minds in the few that I have been to. Now, while you're going through this entire coding journey, it's very easy to get burnt out just because of the fact that there's just so much to learn, you know, and obviously you don't want to learn everything, but you want to learn the things that you need to either get a job or build a customer facing product or to become a better developer. But even in this alone, you can get burnt out. So here's how you want to avoid burnout, okay? Space out your learning. Do not try to overload your brain with a ton of information about different programming languages. This is why you only want to focus on 2 in the beginning and build out mini projects. Do not engage in a customer-facing product that you think is going to be the next $1 million startup, because at that point, you're going to be destroying your brain when you barely know how to code. And lastly, don't code for 10 hours a day, okay? You want to keep your love of learning and development alive. If you're coding 10 hours a day, very quickly, you're going to be like, man, I hate coding. And that's when your journey goes. Now, one of the cornerstones of being a good developer is being able to solve algorithms. When you apply for tech jobs, in the interview, you'll be challenged to do a coding problem live in front of an interviewer. And if you failed that part of the interview, 9 times out of 10, you are not getting the job. So here's how to ace that. You want to go to leetcode.com and do as many medium and hard problems as you can. These problems are algorithm-based problems where you can code in Python, JavaScript, C++, whatever language to create a program that will solve whatever the algorithm that needs to be created is. On top of that, building your knowledge of algorithms is extremely important because this will make or break the apps you eventually go on to build. Because if you have an efficient algorithm, your app will work faster. If you have a slow algorithm, your app can take forever and users can get bored and they can get really pretty annoyed. And when you have angry users, that's not a situation you want to be in. Trust me, I've been there. So invest your time into learning how to code proper algorithms. An example is a sliding window algorithm. Please learn this. If you do not, then you are most likely not gonna get hired. And now is one of the coolest parts about 2025 is the advancement of AI tools, how much they can help when it comes to you and your coding journey and building apps. See, it's way easier to code now because you have a live debugger that can solve things for you. Cursor AI is an AI code-based editor that can literally debug your code for you as well as write code for you, which is amazing, and it does require you to code less. I still recommend making sure you understand everything that Cursor writes for you, so that way you know what the code is doing. If you just blindly follow Cursor, something breaks, you're not gonna know what to do. But if you run into a coding issue, you can simply get that error, throw it into Cursor, and it will break down what is wrong and help you solve it, which is mind-blowing. Before, I had to spend like hours on Google Stack Overflow trying to find the solution to my problem. And when you are building full stack apps like customer facing products, you no longer have to spend weeks building these apps. You can use something like Lovable or Bolt that can create full stack apps for you. This is probably the craziest thing about 2025 is how powerful these AI tools really are. Coding is insane, but the funny part is, as a software engineer myself, I can tell you that you actually don't code as much as you probably think when you are in the corporate America industry. See, what do software engineers actually do? I probably spent about 2 hours coding a day for a large part of the early part of my career. Then it became 4 to 5 hours coding per day. So in an 8-hour day, you're probably coding from anywhere of 40 to 70% of the day. This obviously varies company to company, but I was at a pretty big fintech company, and this is what my day looked like. The rest of the time was literally meetings. Most of the time as an engineer, if it's not coding, it's meetings. And the last 10% is probably reading documentation, which is why reading documentation is a very important soft skill that you need to have. This was the exact coding journey I went on and things that I followed that made coding so much easier for me to understand. And I'm sure it can help you too. If you want to see my 14 sources of income as a software engineer, watch this video next.